Hi everybody and welcome back. Today's the day you will finally meet the last pseudo-legendary of the Jermanzburg region. Well, okay, this is only half true since I will upload an extra video where I redraw the other two since they are rather old and I want to change them up a bit. The line you will meet today is probably one of my favorite designs I've made so far, so I'm super excited to show it to you. Also, a quick update on my drawing arm. I thought I only strained my pinky finger, but it turned out the pain came from my elbow and I strained the whole arm a bit, so I stopped drawing for like around 1 or 2 weeks when this video comes out. However, I did start to draw with my left hand and it surprisingly went better than expected, and at least one video will feature a completely left hand drawing by me. But yeah, let's go to the pseudo-legendary. So I live in the same house as my parents and my grandma, in a rather rural place. And we have the luck to having a garden, which is probably my favorite part about living in or next to a village. Just a lot of green everywhere. My grandma likes to decorate our garden with lots of stuff. Rusted metal, tree parts, bones, fairy sculptures, birds, bird houses and bird baths. But most importantly, gargoyles. My grandma loves gargoyles and we have a huge collection of them in our garden. It became a tradition of my relatives to gift her such statues on, for example, Christmas or her birthday. They are basically the protectors of our garden and I love that. One time 2 of the gargoyles broke and I had to repair them. They actually turned out not bad. So this was what sparked my inspiration. The first stage was the hardest one for me to draw because I was unsure if I wanted to go with a more gremlin-like design or a more dragonic one. On the one hand, I already have a dragon-like pseudo-legendary, but that would have been more easy to draw for me, but I tried my luck with the goblin-like design. As soon as I drew the first version of the face, I liked it a lot, which was good, but also limited my choices when it came to the pose. You see different attempts, crouching down, flying while laying on a globe, standing and balancing a globe on one hand. Then I tried the laying pose on the globe again, but that was really awkward and the next attempt also didn't work, so I tried a more dragonic pose, which I actually liked way better, but I forced myself to not go with it because of the other dragonic pseudo-legendary. And I'm happy I did. I somehow managed to make a frontal standing pose that looked rather natural for this little mon. It has 2 tiny wings on its back, way too small to be useful. It's holding a globe in front of its body, since a lot of gargoyle statues also have some sort of globe incorporated into them. To make the design a bit more fun, I added golden poles on its ears and the tip of the wings. Figured that would make it look a bit more like a statue or at least a piece of art. For the colors, I used light and dark grays as well as blue and yellow. Probably not the most interesting color scheme, but I liked it. I honestly just used blue because it looked cool, but now that I think about it, it could also represent the fact that gargoyles are basically a synonym for water spouts. Is that a term? Like the thing that shoot water out of the mouth. But yeah, it's not a water type, spoiler alert. I just didn't want to give the pseudo-legendaries the typings of the starters because you often use both on your team and I didn't want to double the typings. I had a loose concept since 2021 and back then I chatted with Gibbster and he suggested to give it glass parts that break out of its body. I toned that down a bit and gave its eyes the shape of some sort of like crystal ornaments or like stained glass or something like that. The whole design I think looks cute but also a bit unsettling if I'm being honest. And here it is, Garglass, a pure rock type. For the name I've used gargoyle and glass. Gonna explain that a bit more on the next stage. I hope it reads as a first stage pseudo-legendary enough. The next 2 probably will better. The pose for this stage was way more easy than the previous one, but I still needed a few attempts. Like most gargoyles, it is pretty buff and is drawn in a crouching pose. Originally, I thought it would be cute if the globe it is holding is not evolving with it and will just stay the same size throughout the whole line, but it looked weird for the last stage, so I adjusted the size in this one. Its wings are now a bit more elaborate and larger, but still not enough to fly. Back in 2021 I had the idea of a gargoyle that is repairing itself with pieces of trash that's lying around. that had two inspirations. First, because our gargoyles often have to be repaired because they fall down in a storm or if it's too cold in the winter. And the second inspiration is the fact that whenever I go for a walk I find a lot of trash, which annoyed me so much that I started to carry a bucket and a garbage thong with me.
Editing Boreal Mind, I have no idea why I said it that weird. I meant a bucket and a garbage thong.
To collect trash and throw it away afterwards. Unfortunately, I accidentally broke the garbage thong last time, so I had to get a new one. What was the point of that? Ah, right, okay, so most of the stuff I find is plastic and glass bottles. In Germany you get money back for a lot of bottles if you bring them back to the stores, which is supposed to prevent people from throwing the bottles everywhere. Unfortunately, the system is not applied to most alcohol bottles, so every time I collect trash I find so many empty vodka bottles and Jägermeister and stuff like that. And of course glass shards too, which is kinda dangerous. So my idea was a little fragile gargoyle that repairs itself with pieces of glass that it finds. However, while that was still part of the inspiration, I wanted to make the design a bit more elegant and old looking, like it could be medieval and so on. But I will explain more of that in the speed painting of the last stage. Here it is, Garglobe, a rock and ground type. The name is a fusion of gargoyle and globe because it likes to carry a large globe with it. For the shiny I used a nice shade of purple, mainly because it's one of my favorite colors, to be honest. And the last and probably most important stage. The pose worked from the start really well, and I'm actually surprised how long the whole thing took me to draw because I had no struggles with the pose or the design. But anyways, what did I mean with medieval looking? In Germany you will find a lot of old churches and old buildings in basically every village or town, and to me the best thing about them are the windows. They often have stained glass windows depicting sceneries from Bible or some saints or something like that. That was important because not everybody was able to read back then, but the pictures were still easy to understand with that knowledge. I wanted to combine a gargoyle with stained glass windows. At first I thought I could make the wings, which are supposed to look like the windows, out of a different colored piece of glasses to indicate that it collected them and put them in on its own, but I didn't want to introduce another color. However, I added 2 cracks on its body to indicate that it is a bit fragile and maybe has to repair itself once in a while. It has a minor second inspiration that isn't shown that prominent in the design, but the concept and the name, the Golem. It's a creature from Jewish literature made out of clay. It has to follow the wishes of its creator. I figured that is kinda similar to the gargoyle, which is basically a fancy statue version of a rain gutter. I didn't explain that before, but I figured everybody would know what a gargoyle is, or at least has seen one. So both the golem and gargoyle are built for one job, to help its creator basically. To implement this whole helping or following order aspect more, this stage walks around and repairs broken buildings with glass pieces. By the way, you may be wondering why I gave the ground type in its previous stage. Glass is made by basically melting sand, and sand is basically ground, so I hope that makes sense. Here it is, Gargolem, the final pseudo-legendary of the Jermanzburg region. I'm so happy with the design since it's one of the oldest concepts for the project and I think it turned out pretty well. I'm glad I waited for such an important design until I got better with Fakemon designing. But what do you think? Do you like it? I know I said this is the last pseudo legendary for the region, however I want to update the artworks of the other two lines and make a few subtle changes. I think I will upload these redesigned videos as additional videos, so maybe there's gonna be a video next week. I don't know, this was my plan, but my arm came into the way, so I still haven't finished the other designs. Yeah, but they will come out soon, I hope. Yeah. Thank you for joining today's episode. It was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Please leave a like, subscribe, and let me know your opinions in the comments. See you in the comments.